Welcome to Rewatch and Rank. On this channel, we rewatch older TV shows, provide a summary and opinion on the episode before ranking each episode against each other. Today's episode is Charmed Season 4, Episode 8, Muse to My Ears. The episode in a nutshell is a brief reminder of what happens within the episode. So in this episode, it begins... You know what? Actually, I'm going to separate it out, not try to go in order. So the main plot of this episode is that there is a warlock named Devlin who is trying to lead a warlock faction that's trying to seize power while the source is injured. And Devlin has stolen from the good side the Ring of Inspiration, which was created in order to help good in times of need channel an excessive amount of inspiration, and its powers allow you to be able to see muses in addition to being able to capture and imprison muses within the ring in order to take advantage of the inspiration that they are able to inspire. And Devlin is using this to inspire his faction of warlocks to try to take over the underworld. And as Cole warns throughout the episode, the best way to earn the recognition of the underworld and the other factions and show off your power to them is to defeat the sisters, the Charmed ones. And so Devlin and his warlocks, of course, target Phoebe, Paige, and Piper throughout the episode, and also start to kill demons, which is not allowed and is considered treason by the underworld. But because the source is not strong at the moment, the warlocks are basically breaking the law of the demon world and taking demon powers in order to try to become strong enough to defeat the sisters. And the sisters do, with the inspiration from Melody, their own muse, manage to come up with a potion spell, and Paige, who's suddenly an artist, and I don't know if she's ever an artist again, but is an artist in this episode, with Melody's help, draws Devlin's face and the ring so that she can then focus on the ring to call it with her powers, which succeeds. The potion succeeds, the spell succeeds, except it was a lackey who came first and they defeated the lackey, and then Devlin, once the lackey is defeated, then comes in after they've used the potions and the spells and the inspiration and takes the ring back, in addition to capturing Melody. And the sisters then get very low for a little bit. And this is, of course, when Leo and Cole come back from the underworld and reveal the information they already know because Devlin already attacked them. And it is with Leo's help and Phoebe's passion for Cole that the girls basically find the inspiration within themselves to bring it out again and come up with a plan to defeat Devlin. However, it ends up being a trap as the Warlock faction is waiting in ambush for them at P3, disguising amongst the corporate party, which is 40s themed. And then the sisters, of course, do manage to use their own intelligence and smarts to weaken the warlocks with strobe lights because their eyes are very sensitive due to blinking, and they vanquish a few before they announce that anybody who does not want to die should skedaddle, and they do in fact skedaddle. And then Phoebe sees Melody. They bring Melody outside. Turns out Melody was actually Devlin, glamored. But Cole arrives at the last second with Leo, having realized when they were left behind that something wasn't right and it was most likely a trap. Get the ring back. Devlin is vanquished. Melody gets the ring back, and she goes back to wherever the muses go. And that's the bulk of the episode. Throughout the episode, there is a bit of a side plot where Cole is kind of struggling with the fact that he's human. He's no longer able to defend Phoebe against demons, no longer able to fight demons himself. He tries to buy a firearm. He does, the sisters promptly send it to Daryl because they don't want a firearm in the house. Him and Phoebe end up fighting. He ruins their date at the start of the episode by constantly warning about the demon factions. But ultimately, he does end up saving the day, and ultimately, Phoebe and him are in love, though there is also the lingering disappointment at the rejected marriage proposal as well throughout the episode, also. But anyway, that is what happened, bulk of what happened in the episode. And so now that we have been reminded about the episode, we'll now rank the episode. As always, we'll be ranking on our 2 ranking lists, our mostly objective ranking list, followed by the personal ranking list. All right, so our mostly objective rank values, we have +1 point for Devlin the Warlock, +1 point for Melody the Muse in our single episode supporting character introductions. We then have our multi-season main character growth, and this is Piper, Phoebe, and Paige learning that muses bring out inspiration that already exists within them, but when they lose Melody, they're all ready to give up, they're depressed, but then with Leo and Cole's help, they are able to find the path to inspiration within themselves without outside help in order to come back and save the day. And also, Paige is an artist, and I have rewatched this series so many times in my life, so many times, and I genuinely don't recall if it comes up again that Paige is an artist or if it was something brought in just for this episode. I know she starts off very colorful and such, but like actually being a drawer or a painter, I don't know that that is ever brought up again, even though it was like a main point in this particular episode. Or are we just to consider that it's something that happens off screen in the time between demon attacks? Either way, that is worth 4 points. Then we have an additional 4 points for the world building pieces. Muses exist. This is the first time we've heard of them, but they exist in the world. The Ring of Inspiration exists, which allows muses to be seen and trapped. And we also learn about the demonic factions or underworld factions that are being created in the absence of the source as the source is now injured. And we also in this episode see some of the effects of that, such as warlocks breaking the law to attack demons, which is previously would be considered treason punishable by death, because when the leader is weak, the chaotic forces in their subordinates run with it and commit crimes, apparently. Which this is the evil side, so that makes perfect sense. That's our positive points. We do have a couple of negatives. The first negative is the character regression, -1 point. And this is something that I felt was Cole. Obviously, in the previous episode, he became human. Now he is fully human. He doesn't have the powers, and he's greatly struggling with his inability to really protect Phoebe or be a part of Phoebe. Says that she wants him to become a houseboy, send him to her room, won't listen to his advice anymore, so on and so forth, because he's now human. She, of course, denies that this is the case, but he's just having a hard time no longer being the big bad that he once was, and you can really see his insecurities coming through, especially with the fact that she had declined his marriage proposal previously, which probably hurt his pride a great deal as well. Bringing me to the second point, which is -3 points, which is the main relationship regression, or breakup, and in this case regression, which is that Cole and Phoebe, basically from the start of the episode, fight throughout the episode. We start with the date at the very beginning of the episode where Cole kind of ruins it because he won't stop talking about the factions, and even though Phoebe planned the whole thing, sent her sisters away, so he basically just doesn't want to wait until the morning to talk about it. He keeps insisting on trying to talk about it there, which kind of ruins their date. Then they, fight about minor things like him leaving the house, him having a say or taking part in, any of the discussions around it. And it's like, yes, he's no longer a demon, but he still has the knowledge of, I think they have him like 100 years old or something like that, like 100 years of knowledge of the evil side that they are fighting. So his advice, much like Leo's advice, should, I think, be taken very seriously. But again, that isn't quite what is happening within the episode. There's Piper even taking Cole aside to talk about, how Phoebe probably feels and why she might have declined the engagement, but that doesn't mean she doesn't love him, blah, blah, blah. They do have a slight resurgence of their relationship with the whole Phoebe's passion as far as loving Cole, which she does not doubt, allowing her to bring up her inspiration again. But I feel like the core issues, which is the fact that he's struggling to be human and not be able to be as helpful as he once was, and the declined proposal, which is still declined, aren't really resolved in this episode, and so it is still considered to be a regression. And all of those points considered, this is a 6 out of 10 episode. And so we come to our season 4 rankings so far for our mostly objective list, and in first we have Charmed Again, Hell Hath No Fury, Enter the Demon, A Night to Remember, Size Matters, Brain Drain, Muse to My Ears, and then Black as Coal. So with my personal ranking for the episode, one thing I did consider was I didn't put it as a continuity error because I am not 100% certain that Paige being an artist comes up again. Like, I don't think it's come up to date, and I don't recall it ever becoming a main plot point or a character trait of Paige going forward after this particular episode. So in that sense, I would want to put it as a continuity error. However, I do think that, when her room was first decorated, when she first moved in, I believe I did see the art supplies in there. She's obviously very colorful at this point with her clothing. When she had her apartment, I didn't pay as much attention to the background, but I don't recall seeing the art supplies there. Um, but I didn't take points for it because I'm not 100% certain it never comes up again. But I do feel like it was very much kind of just dropped into this episode and then kind of forgotten about going forward into the future episodes. Cole, I understand his insecurity. I'm just not overly fond of how that plays out on screen because it kind of is, well, to be honest, he was insecure even when he was a demon because he was being chased by the underworld people. He couldn't be there for Phoebe in the way that he wanted to, and he was bringing danger into her life, so he was trying to keep his distance and blah, 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 blah. And now he's human, and oh no, now I can't protect you, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's like he always has an issue and something to be insecure about. And while it does make for a dramatic relationship and plot points, I also would like to see them secure at least like for a couple episodes. Um, that would be nice. At this point, I don't think they've been secure for very long at any point because he was either only popping in now and again because he was so chasing demons, or now he's human. So I wasn't overly fond of that side plot. It's not my favorite romance or section of their romance. I like Cole as a character. I like Phoebe as a character. I do think that they do love each other greatly, and I do think that is accurately portrayed on the screen, but also their relationship has a lot of ups and downs and issues, which also is very valuable to show, like that there are different types of relationships. You've got Piper and Leo, and then which is one relationship style, and then Cole and Phoebe in a different type of relationship style. And I like that they are showing different types of relationships that people can be in. I think that's great. But again, I'm not overly fond of the drama, and I would like to see them just be like comfortable and happy in their relationship every so often rather than it constantly being one drama after another drama after another drama. I'm getting exhausted and I'm not even part of the relationship. However, that being said, I did like the concept of this episode. I like that they introduced muses. I like the idea of like the demonic factions going in to take the source's place and try to get him while he's down because that's such an evil thing to do and that is the evil side. So I enjoy that. I also liked the party at P3 and the theme of the party and how that was all done and decorated. That was nice. But again, like I felt like it did have a little more flaws and it wasn't necessarily as entertaining otherwise because a lot of the focus was on, them being inspired. So it was a lot of potion making, a lot of spell writing, drawing, kind of huddled up in their various parts of the house doing essentially witch chores versus, like a lot of the action, which sometimes does happen. But the fight scene at the end, I thought it was clever using the strobe light to replace the potion once they realize that there's too many there for the amount of potion that they have, as far as like the warlocks are concerned. And I do think it was kind of dumb of them to not realize that Melody was a glamour because they saw her sucked into the ring. Why would Devlin bring her out of the ring where she can be captured just randomly? Like that did not make sense. And the fact that they fell for it so easily and didn't even feel any suspicion towards the glamour Devlin as Melody, I don't know, gave me like I gave him side eye for that because it's just why would he have taken her out of the ring? And it's already considered that the muses cannot get out of the ring on their own, so it's not like she would have been able to get out. And when they saw that it wasn't Devlin dragging Melody, even though he's the one with the ring, that also should have alarm bells, which never went off. Basically, all of that to say, I loved the concept, not necessarily the execution. And not necessarily the side plot, though I did think the main plot was strong, and that's why I ultimately gave it a 6 out of 10. And that brings our personal ranking so far to in first, Hell Hath No Fury, Charmed Again, A Night to Remember, Size Matters, this episode came in 5th, Muse to My Ears, then Brain Drain, Enter the Demon, and Black as Coal. Which brings us now to our series rankings so far. And on our mostly objective ranking, Season 3 is in first place with 76.36%. Season 2 is in second with 75%. Season 1 in third at 73.18%. And Season 4 so far has a score of 66 out of a possible 210. Meanwhile, on the personal ranking side, Season 3 is also in first place at 76.82%, Season 1 in second at 71.5%, Season 2 is in third place with 56.82%, and Season 4 so far has a score of 51 out of a possible 210. But with that, we've now rewatched and ranked Charmed Season 4, Episode 8, Muse to My Ears. Like and subscribe if you'd like to, and I'll see you in the next episode.